Welcome to the Answers for Elders radio show. Meet the trusted experts who will give you straight answers and will help guide you on the path of later life care. Now, here's your host, founder, caregiver, and CEO, Suzanne Newman.
And welcome everyone to Answers for Elders Radio Network in the month of May. And we're very excited because this is kind of a month where a lot of people, if you're navigating later life and you're thinking about what am I going to do in the next chapter of my life, senior living in its various forms always is something that people think about. And the month of May, we are going to have shows all through this month on the different aspects of senior living. And I know for me, when I first started in this journey, I was a sales manager of a large multi-million-dollar company. I had salespeople that worked for me and reported to me. And I felt like I was just completely stupid because I didn't know the right questions to ask when I was looking for a place for my mom. I didn't even know how to prepare her. We were kind of thrust into having to find her a place right away. And there were certain people in the world that helped make my world go a lot easier. And one of those things that I'm very proud to you today is we're going to start from the beginning. If you're ever in a situation of, yeah, someday I'd like to go to assisted living, but you know what we find is people stay home because they maybe a little longer because they just don't want to deal with the overwhelm of it all, the logistics of it all. So we're going to start from the beginning. How do you plan? How do you put a semblance of a life? What do you take with you? How does it work? And most importantly, how do you hire the right providers that will help you through this process? And I'm very proud today to introduce you to someone who was there for me when I moved my mom. He has been just an amazing person here throughout the USA and in supporting seniors as they go through this step. And Sean Joseph from Jordan River Moving and Storage, welcome to Answers for Elders.
Hi, Suzanne. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm glad you're here. Sean, you and I've talked a lot about what I went through. And first of all, it was amazing because you had such a heart for the process that I was dealing with. And a lot of times people don't necessarily understand that. My own employer didn't understand that. And yet I think it's something that's very near and dear to you, that seniors are very important and you understand the emotional situation of moving and leaving sometimes a home where they've lived in for 50, 60 years in some cases. Sean, before we start with the actual process, what do you normally see? Do you see it's an emotional move, the family's involved? What is your experience mostly of seniors that are moving?
During my work experience, doing a visual estimate, which actually going to the customer house, I engage personally with the people. I just last Friday, I went to a couple. I think they were 80 years old or something in that range. They live in a house since 1970 in the same house in Belgium.
Wow.
And going through the item and seeing, and she needed to downsize.
Yeah.
To downsize. It was just difficult for her to go through to the process. And I was listening and I give my opinion. I said, this is what item are crucial and important. And I listened to her when she said, this is my China. I have 12 people set. I have few set. It's important for me. Or this picture on the wall over there. This is important. I'm listening to what's important, but she had so much stuff, Suzanne, so much stuff. There's
Of course. What is it, 57 years or 55 years, something like that? Yeah, it's crazy.
And I tell her, you live in this house, you're downsizing to a new townhome. You have to make the decision. I mean, it's not easy. Get the family involved. She said her granddaughters will come and help her. But yeah, it's the decision is there. You have to get to a point when you say, I have to get rid of stuff. She was planning to give it to a family member. And that's a lot of things what we see. Getting sometimes small shipment going from an elderly couple to their daughters and son around the United States. It's just
Right.
buy them, but it's important for the family. It's not just
Absolutely.
downsizing in a way, say downsize, take it to the dump. It
Yeah.
doesn't work like this.
That grand piano that's been in the family for, 70 years is going to go to somebody, and it's been passed down. And it's that feeling of making sure that there's connections there, that they're honored and they're put together. And I think a lot of times in our industry, people in your industry, they don't recognize monumental emotional step that it is for someone that is a senior that's lived in the same home for 55 years. What we find oftentimes is out of fear of the unknown, because they don't necessarily know what the next step is going to look like. They have an idea of what they'd like to see, but sometimes I don't even think they know that they'd like to see something like that. So there's a lot of different aspects of the emotional turmoil that families go over. And it's also the emotional connection to the bricks and mortar of the home, because there's memories that were there. And certainly one of the things I always tell families to do is write letters to the new owners and leave them in different areas of the room. So in other words, this was my room. This is what the things I remembered that happened here. If you feel like that, because it's a way of continuing forward that memory, that whoever's going to take that home next to you is going to honor that. They're going to realize that a life lived in that home. And I think that's the most important thing of all, of how that happens. And Sean, for you go through an in-home estimate, and I want to talk this first segment, just the overview basics of what that is. And then in our next segment, I want to really dive into the in-home estimate, if that's okay. So tell me a little bit of why you go to people's home to meet and visit with them.
First and foremost, it's a requirement. Let's make it very clear. Even if a lot of people doesn't want it, it's the basic protection for the consumer.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go, we in a company wants to go visually inspect. That's the only way of really doing an estimate. I mean, the video estimate, it's good too, today with the technology, not for the elderly.
Right.
They not as computer savvy or with
No.
phone and camera, and also it's a trust issue. This
Huge trust issue.
still not there, with all those envision into their life with all the technology. And we respect that, we understand, and we want to go and see and talk to the people in person. I see, we usually know the house will, for most part, will be cramped. So we have to visually see and explain. And for us, if we do the jump, prepare and tell them what needs to be done, how to engage without a family member for the move to be smooth. Because the last thing we want is to come to a house unprepared and cause stress to the elderly, to the senior people.
Absolutely.
For them, the move is stressful no matter what. Everything, the way people coming to their home now after so many years that they live there and protected their item, precious things that they accumulated during the years, and suddenly, foreigners or strangers coming in, and we want to make them feel comfortable. That's we need to be prepared. For us to be prepared, we need to do the visual estimate. Make them feel comfortable and build the trust.
Yes. So Sean, before we leave to our break, I want to make sure that people know how to reach you. What is your website and how can people reach you?
Our website is www.jordanrivermoving.com. And we have a toll-free number, 1-877-611-0808. And people can call, and live person will answer the phone all the time. Immediately.
Fabulous.
Don't need to go to click here and there and do versus automatic system. Actually, a person automatically will pick up the phone.
Absolutely.
Happy and glad to answer all questions.
And you also have senior rates. So it's a special rate just for seniors. And so again, I'm so proud to have Sean on this show, and we're going to be back and we're going to talk in great detail about the in-home estimate and why it's so important. Sean and I will be right back right after this.
We at Answers for Elders thank you for listening. Did you know that you can discover hundreds of podcasts in our library on senior care? So visit our website and discover our decision guides that will help you also navigate decision making. Find us at answersforelders.com.